Hey guys, so with every new patch, we're going to take a look at some new picks in Korea that people are using right now. People play a lot more over there on that server. They find cool new stuff because they try a lot of things out. So it can give us a few ideas and some stuff to try. A list is in the description of the champions if that's what you're after. But first up, what do people actually think are the best over there? Like, what are they abusing? For mid lane, it is actually dominated by Twisted Fate, Orianna, and Kassadin. They're all pretty strong laners and they have good roaming as well. The key thing here is they're all really good at team fighting. So when the game goes a bit later, they can actually still all have a lot of impact. For AD carry, we have Tristana, obviously, but then Xayah and Kog'Maw as well. Xayah is pretty strong in the lane phase, has some kill potential, like some good setup with the Re and stuff, but she also scales really well with the W and her feathers. It's a lot of AoE damage. Kog'Maw is just overpowered with censer, but something we don't really abuse that much in Europe and North America at least. For the jungle, Sejuani is the best by far. Jarvan is like run up, I guess, a good ganker and tank later, and Ezreal as well. Most Korean junglers are hyper aggressive and they dive all the time. For top lane, Fiora is back after these buffs, Maokai as the best tank, and Darius is actually the third most popular top laner as like a kind of massive lane bully. Support is just Janna and Lulu for censer, and then Thresh as a kind of soft counter to them, a bit more aggressive. So that gives you an idea of what they are using the most, but we're going to get into some newer picks this patch, stuff that's doing a lot better. Ezreal jungle is going to kick us off. I thought this would kind of just be a phase. Like when I made that video about it, right, I said that they're probably just going to like play it for a little bit. It won't be that good, but apparently not. Now the third most played jungler in games if we don't count Lee Sin, and a lot of high-elo players are abusing this pretty hard. We've kind of seen it evolve a bit more over this patch, like Storm Raiders is now the clear keystone choice, and it's this early cheese pick that actually scales kind of well. The main thing here is it's a lot of fun to play. Korea love Ezreal anyway, so they're always going to do it, and there is legit like zero surprise that he's played a ton there, but also the higher up the ladder you go, the better it gets. As you can kind of guess though, you aren't really great versus these overpowered tanks. Sure, an AD carry, you need some time to like actually be able to kill them and stuff, but you're really good versus carry matchups that you can duel. The build they use is Red Warrior, Trinity Force, Blade the Ruined King, Last Whisper. That's the most common 4 set of items, but some actually chucking a Duskblade in there as well. Storm Raiders is the keystone for the amazing kiting with your ultimate especially, and better ganks to be honest. Normal runes though. Most people that play this win hard early or they go home losing some LP really. Like he can be good later, but it's kind of harder to play that late game Ezreal at lower ranks especially. Obviously I'm not saying he is like overpowered frag games, but Korea is definitely loving him this patch, and he's getting stronger the more people learn him as well. The weird thing is normally with these cheese picks, they kind of get worse as people learn how to play against them and stuff, but this is actually getting better. So for the top lane, we have Fiora as the second one. The recent buffs, actually this patch, seemed to be all that Korea needed to give her another shot, and she spiked back up to the #1 most popular top laner again, and pretty good. Her early still seems to be like kind of an issue as you'd expect, but like mid to late game, it's really good, and she is definitely back again now if you want to play her. Remember, Korea actually uses Trinity Force build, like Rammus Hydra into Trinity. It gives her insane damage and dueling power, so they really build her for like the 1v1, I guess. It's kind of weird. In Korea, she wins most carry matchups, like, and loses against super tanks, which seems kind of backwards, but it's like the big ones are beating Riven, Renekton, and Jax. So build, as we said, like Rammus Hydra, Trinity Force, then you pick one more lifesteal item, which can either be Death Dance or Bloodthirster, and then Guardian Angel and more Man Mortiers most of the time. Further is obviously the keystone. It's ridiculous on her with how fast she stacks it, and the late game AD is insane. I know a lot of people were pissed that she kind of got nuked with nerfs before, but she's definitely good again if you want to play her. She is a skill champion. She has an insane late game, and if she gets ahead, she has more than enough damage to really carry a game. So that is why Korea love her. It kind of also makes top laners feel a bit more useful in this meta than just like a crowd control bot, I guess, if you play a tank. Now there's a special mention in this video for Rammus, this little guy, because he is dominating low elo in Korea at the moment this patch. He won't show up on normal stat websites as much, but like looking into each elo bracket, he has been a beast so far this patch. Obviously they mostly go Moby Boots because that's just Korea in a nutshell. Righteous Glory, they tear down people who stand no chance to get out of the way, and they gank like a machine. Normally Rammus is actually quite bad versus tanks, but awesome versus carry picks. He can kind of just taunt and kill like a Lee Sin or Gragas or Ezreal. It's pretty nuts. Obviously you can go Tabby Boots if you want to, but Moby is like the way to go normally. Cinderhulk with the blue smite, Righteous Glory, Thornmail, Deadman stuff, just anything to make sure as annoying as possible. Courage is a keystone they use, but Stoneborn Pact actually has a good win rate as well, so maybe you could get like an Ardent Censer with Stoneborn to buff your AD carry. That's a joke, by the way. Please don't do that. It probably worked, but like you shouldn't do that. Everyone knows how Rammus works, to be honest. He's just got a lot better this patch for some reason. Rammus is actually seriously good late game at the moment because he lasts such a long time in fight. So you gank a lot, you snowball lanes, you do damage, you don't die early game, and then you just be as annoying as possible and last forever late game. The next one, we're moving on to support. So like support Taric is really good in a tank meta because this is actually like Ardent Censer Taric. It's pretty sad, but this is what we've got to. It's kind of like if you want to combine the aggressive pick like a Thresh or an Alistar or or something with a Janna, like the defensive side. In a weird way, it offers a bit more than Janna in fights, but still censer. He's actually the best team fight support you can probably play, or close to it. You have an AoE stun, which is kind of like a mini sonar ultimate in a way, obviously not instant, but you have a shield, you have a heal, and you have this immune to damage for the whole team. The reason you pick him is because he's really good versus aggressive supports, things like Thresh, Blitzcrank, Rakan, like because his ultimate is basically anti-engage, and he has his stuns as well. So we just say Censer Rush, Face of the Mountain or Eye of the Oasis, depending on if you've gone the Relic Shield or the coin route, whichever you want to take. Lock it afterwards, Redemption, even Zeke's Herald is actually pretty good on him with his ultimate synergy. Like, it actually kind of makes sense. Wind Speakers is a keystone, it's kind of standard masteries, but for the runes, most are on a full armor health, the magic resist runes, or some move speed as well to be like extra good roaming around. The thing that's most underrated about Taric is how good he is with tanks. His ultimate can keep them alive for so long over a fight, so it makes it really hard to play against as long as it's used properly. He's kind of for the support player, I guess, who wants to win, play meta, but not be an ego and play Janna, Lulu, or Soraka. He's really good with hyper carries though, so he's actually pretty fun lane to play. Now, quick mention for Talon. Again, he is up to the best mid laner you can play now, and close to the best top laner as well. Guys, honestly, probably overpowered at this level. I think at least win rate wise, he's pretty nuts. I think he's one of the best like early laners who then swaps to push and roam style. Like, that is really how you win solo queue more than anything else. It's such an easy way to win. His crit and his bleed is going to net him a lot of kills, right? But he's an assassin who can kill stuff and not die afterwards, and that's kind of actually rare, and that means he can keep his lead. If you think like Fizz gets a kill, he probably dives in, but so does the enemy team because he dies. Like, you both get gold in that situation. Sure, Fizz has more damage after that, but they will catch up quicker as well. If Talon gets a kill and they don't, then he is keeping them from catching up for longer, and that is kind of how you play an assassin. Like, you've got to use your lead before the enemy team gets gold and eventually shuts you down. So not only does he fit the game style I guess we have at the moment, but he wins most meta matchups apart from Twisted Fate, so he's actually good versus like Orianna and Kassadin and Ahri and stuff as well. Moby Boots are normally always bought, like no surprise. Duskblade, Ghostblade, GA as first 3 items normally, and then Black Cleaver and Moorman Mortius are good kind of extras afterwards. There's a real divide though with like Thunderlords or Storm Raiders. It's kind of up to you, whichever you want to take. Lethality Reds though are also really good on him rather than just flat AD for runes. I think overall he's really the best assassin you can probably play at the moment. He roams like a monster. He has a lot of damage to carry himself, and if he gets fed, it's probably lights out because every other lane will start to get behind as well with his roaming. So now for the most underrated champion in Korea at the moment, so far this patch is going to be Wukong. He's spiked up in both top and jungle, but we're going to look at top mostly. I'm just going to say that this is probably a bit better lower down where games are a bit more bloody. He scales really well with items, so if the game's a bloodbath, you're getting a lot of kills and stuff, you're going to snowball and become a beast. I think he is the most underrated teamfight champion as well. He has this major impact, a serious damage, and works a lot like how Talon top does, I guess, like with the roaming and stuff, but he has a massive AoE impact. You're going to get a lead, you're going to get these few items, right? You abuse his lethality, which is great, and then roam around the map with your stealth, and obviously you can hit multiple people with your ultimate. You're actually very good against champions like Darius, Jax, Jace, Jarvan as well, who can't match that impact in fights, and normally they lose fights early as well, which means you're going to get ahead. The build is Tabby or Moby Boots, whichever you want to do. If you want to focus a bit more on your lane, or if you want to focus on roaming, then Duskblade, Ghostblade, Guardian Angel, Black Cleaver. It's like proper armor shred days, getting close to true damage on most carry picks. In a meta where like AD carry and mid is so important, if you can actually nuke them down because they basically have no armor and no resist against you, that's a pretty good start to a fight. Thunderlords is the keystone, same as Talon actually. Lethality Reds do better than flat AD, and I know he's not that popular, but it seems like he's actually good in 718. The one problem you might have is if you get behind or the game goes really late game to where you can't kill the enemy AD if they have like loads of shields and protection and defense, like you're probably going to lose. If you fancy playing something a bit different though, Wukong is definitely actually good to try out. He has a lot of damage, he's pretty fun, you'll be surprised how much burst you can get off as well. So the final pick for this video is going to be Rengar, mainly jungle, but actually sick top lane for some reason as well. So the weird thing is about this one, right now it's not really about his early game as much anymore, which is what we were kind of used to. Like, he gets ahead or he's kind of useless. That's how he used to be. He's actually winning more games later now in the jungle, at least. I guess really like AD and mid lane are very important at the moment, and you can nuke them down, which gives your team a massive advantage. I'm not saying his early is bad, like at all. Get Duskblade, get Warrior, and you're going to do so much damage, but he doesn't fall off as much anymore, and that is kind of why he is back. It's also matchup wise. He holds his own versus a lot of meta things, so you don't actually just auto lose, except maybe against Jax with his dodge and stuff. You can't do very much, or Sejuani, who is just kind of too tanky to kill. I know lower elo has a lot of Shyvana players as well, though, at the moment, just because she's come back up massively, and Rengar, statistically at least, is very good against her. So build-wise is Tabby or Moby Boots, obviously. I normally go Tabby if I play jungle Rengar, though. Red Warrior, Duskblade, Ghostblade, and Guardian Angel afterwards. The Thunderlord's keystone Brimstone, runes, standard AD, not much lethality, kind of hurts his clear speed. So Rengar definitely is one of the ones who fell out of the meta a little bit with all these jungle changes, but this patch he has spiked up a bit again and is in a decent spot. Now for top lane, it's kind of funny. He's actually got a top 3 win rate at the moment, which is weird, but this is where he's flipped a little bit. He's insane early game as a top laner. He gets ahead, it's kind of game over. If you can't fight him, he controls the bushes and he jumps at you, he fights you, he controls the lane. You can't really do anything about that, like unless you can fight him, and then it's fine for you, I guess, but not many people can. That's why he's so good at early to mid game, and that's where he takes over. He seems to be insane versus specific matchups like Jace, Jax, Darius, and Nasus in particular. Like people are using him kind of as a counter pick almost to those matchups. It might not be something you want to pick every game, but it might be like a fun pocket pick, maybe to play normal games or to have and then roam around once you win your lane. Overall, whether you play him in jungle or top lane, jungle is a bit more standard obviously, like you have tons of damage. The AD carry and the mid laner are super important roles right now in games, and Rengar can one-shot them out of nowhere, so definitely he's a solid pick again. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for watching, and for now, I'll leave you with the robots.